And this is one of the things with artists, they tend to repeat themselves. I've always said quality, quantity, diversity. I want to have maintain a quality in all my writing, whether it's essays or creative work. I want to have a bulk of it so that it's not just, oh, Dan tossed the dart 2 or 3 times.
That is the really striking thing about your extended novels, that compared to, like, say, Powell's Dance to the End of Time, or I think that's what it's called, it's been years, or what's the other, Proust's In Search of Lost Time. There's inevitably a tapering off and a kind of a losing of, I mean, like, basically all of Proust amounts to is just people wandering into salons and gossip. But like, but the extended things have that sustained intensity, which is what you're talking about, like keeping that sustaining it throughout the entire thing.
Here's the thing: is art is not about the artist. Art is about the recipient. I am asking you for your time. You said it took a year or a year and a half to read my Norwegian in the Family. Why should you do that if I'm not willing to make it worth your while? If I'm not willing to, I am giving you something. You know, there's a cliche that great art asks questions. Bullshit. Herman Melville didn't write Moby Dick to ask a fucking question. He knew the answers. And when you have a really great work like that, if you don't get what Moby Dick is about, that's on you. It's not on Melville. If you don't get what Song of Myself is about, that's on you. It's not on women. If you do not get what 2001: A Space Odyssey is about, that's on you. I remember seeing this video. My wife and I made fun of it. This idiot online talked about how 2001: A Space Odyssey is so bad. He opens his video and says, all we get is landscape, and then we see landscape, and then we see them go to the moon, and it takes 20 fucking minutes to get to the moon, and all we see is starscape.
My husband has the attention span of a squirrel when it comes to films. But even with 2001: A Space Odyssey, he could get why it was great and why kind of like he would like. Halfway, you know, like after the intermission where it's just like 5 straight minutes of like wailing voices, it's like you get why he's doing it. You get why you're being forced to endure, like you're being forced to kind of like stay and endure and feel the density of time. Like you're not being like it's not, he's not trying to distract you.
The Stargate sequence, that's a good analogy to Bitt's trip, 900,000 plus word trip. You could totally elide that, and it would still be a great book, because if you went from where it begins to where it ends, you could just have the outer shell. What I've often said is, imagine the hollow earth, the 1,500 1.5 million words of the mafia story is the surface of the earth, and if this was the hollow earth, Bitt is inside. There are parallel, and there are things. I mean, if you like analyzing stuff, you could spend 1,000 years and write 1,000,000 books analyzing just that one work. If I had only written a Norwegian in the Family, I could make a claim of being the greatest writer of all time. If that alone was my one contribution, that in and of itself could make a good argument. But it's like a raisin cake. You can pick out this raisin you don't even have to read that necessarily in chronological order. It's probably best to do that. But if let's say if you wanted to read the mule section first, well, that in and of itself is interesting. But characters come in, and because characters do come in, there's that great scene, if you remember, where the Norwegian is confronted by the super spy, who later gets his own book called The Super Seven. And if you ever get a chance to read The Super Seven, my spy book, I take that same scene where there's the little girl, there's the Norwegian, and there's the spy, and I take it almost word for word, but I change it slightly.
Yeah.
I do. So you've read both of those books? You read the spy book?
I mean, kind of the repetition device. I've tried to. Go on.
Yeah. If you know, in Vincetti Brothers, there's doubling. There are there's always one thing. Like I said, there's the rape, and then there's the Massapequa massacre. With a Norwegian in the Family, it's repetition over and over. But it's not just repetition to be repetitive. Bitt von Reingold, there's a scene, if you remember, in the hallway where Bitt Well, who is the Dennis Hopper
Dennis
slips on his
Hopper,
own urine and falls down 1,800 or 6,800 floors and what. He keeps doing that, and the cycle.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
we end up with hundreds of bit von Reingolds, and we have bit, we have old bit, we have older bit, we have oldest bit, and all these bits are walking around like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Hey bit, how you doing bit, and whatnot. And it's rapid, but it's for a purpose. Life repeats itself. Life goes on. But you, like I said, you could align that whole thing, and it would still work. I want to give.
It's an amazing thing though, because like it's so risky, Dan. I mean, like most people, I mean, like if you imagine a dum-dum reading a book, you're like, oh my god, how long is this going to end? Like flip through the next couple of hundred pages, like Jesus, like they'll just immediately put it down. I mean, like one of the benefits of reading your work as like a PDF, and like I'm trying not to lose my space in the thousands and thousands of pages, was that I just was turning the page and like rolling with the punches. And like halfway through that whole psychedelic episode, I was like, it was like, I'm glad I didn't know it was going to be this long going in, because it was almost more rewarding to like fully kind of like have that cinematic density of time.
And you get moments that are great moments. For example, where else are you going to get Tom Sawyer and I forget the name of the kid from Treasure Island trying to get in the pants of Anne of Green Gables?